This episode sits between us and a steak supper. It's 173.
The Ultimate Deck Podcast. Need a show about outdoor living? This is where it's at. With your hosts, Shane Chapman and Way Loren. Thank you for tuning in. Now let the show begin. Yeah. The Ultimate Deck Podcast. Let's go.
How hungry are you?
I think we should introduce these guys and wrap this up.
Who said anything about a steak dinner?
Right. Well, you booked one of the most exciting restaurants in Regina, the Keg. Yes. So
Everything else is closed on Monday.
I know, right?
So I took some heat for that this afternoon. Bryce and Shane were like, okay, we're going to the Keg for supper. Like, that's the plan. Why wouldn't you go to, and then they listed, 3 or 4 different restaurants in town.
Closed.
I said, well, that was the same list I sent to Mike, but he couldn't book them. They were closed.
I tried.
Still on COVID hours here. Wade and Shane and a couple of gentlemen from Fiberon here today.
Flew them in for the podcast.
Michael and Sean. How you doing, gentlemen?
Excellent.
Doing excellent.
Glad
Thank
to
you.
be here.
Good. So what do you do?
I'm the territory manager for Western Canada for Fiberon.
Perfect.
And I'm the regional sales manager for Canada.
So you're like his boss?
We're partners.
Partners?
Yeah, well
Absolutely.
said.
We're
Well
a team.
said.
We're a team.
But yes, he is my
First
boss.
time on a plane in 2 years. It's been phenomenal.
How was that?
I try to not use the word staff because it implies infection. We call him a team member.
Yeah.
He's part of my team
That's very HR.
that I tell what to do.
You got another one of your people in here. Mark Westrom from Westrom Lumber says, hi, Mike.
Hello, Mark.
Have you been down there lately?
No, thanks for calling me out.
Does
on
he
that.
know? Does he know you're in Saskatchewan?
This is my first trip out in a long time.
Mark, if you're in Regina,
We're going to be at the Keg
come along for supper
tonight.
Yeah. We're going to be at the only option for supper in Regina on a Monday.
We have a change of plans for tomorrow.
Yeah, suddenly the itinerary just got modified. So first flight in 2 years, how was it? Like you remembered?
No, actually, it felt like, honestly, it felt like a little kid flying again for almost the first time.
Like you cried the whole way here?
No,
It took Sean a day
You
to
couldn't
pack
see
his
it. I had a
toiletry
mask on.
bag.
right.
no, it was good. It was fun.
Good.
Glad to do it again.
You're in Ontario, so still
Yes.
a bunch of restrictions there.
Very much so. Yes. It's
Not like
much
here in the
nicer
West.
here. No, we're still masks indoors, certain quantities indoors. Yes, sporting events are going to full capacity, but yeah, masks.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Looks like Westrom's in Maui right now. So
Lucky guy.
Nice.
probably
We'll
pass
come,
on
we'll
the
come,
Keg.
No, we'll come see him there.
Phew, dodged a bullet.
Yeah. That was about to get $70 more expensive for you guys tonight. Mike, how about you? You drive down or did you fly down? You're
I
based
flew-
out of Calgary.
I flew in as
You
well.
did.
I did.
Did you guys both fly direct here or did you meet up beforehand?
Flew
Direct here?
direct here.
Right to Regina, hey?
Absolutely.
On Flair Air
Air
WestJet.com.
Canada.
or Canada WestJet. Okay.
Yeah.
I have to say, though, definitely less flight options these days.
Yeah,
100%.
you bet there is. So you guys, obviously, it sounds like Fortune Brand / Fiberon doesn't restrict which airlines you can travel on and hotels you can stay at, or do they? A little bit. You came in on WestJet, you came in on Air Canada.
Yep.
I used to work for a phone company, telecommunications company, and there was a vendor we worked with and they were Korean, like the headquarters was Korean, and they were so restricted they could only stay at certain brand hotels and they could only fly certain airlines that they were like partnered with or they found to be the cheapest, whatever. And they always had to book the cheapest flight regardless of what the itinerary was.
So many connections.
We would have a vendor come from Toronto, which you should be able to just direct in, and he'd be like, "How was your flight?" It was awful. I went Toronto to Vancouver to Calgary to Regina. I flew over. Like,
Could you imagine?
I'm like, holy smokes, why?
Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, Winnipeg, Regina. I crossed it 3,
Yeah.
like, ew.
Why? Because that flight was $437 and the direct one was $480.
That's rough.
Okay. And we're talking like very large companies.
Yeah.
Like worldwide market.
Well,
like
hey, you don't get rich spending $50.
right? Save your money.
I think if I was the employee, I would say like, this is the flight, $437. You'll cover that. I'll pick up the other $50.
Yeah.
I'll pay that person.
Yeah, right.
And it's like
Just out of convenience.
$437 corporate card, $50 personal card.
The amount of time
I
that
would do that
takes,
100%.
though,
And then
versus the cost.
I can't remember if this is the same company. I think it was. The same company would book a hotel room and they'd be on like, so our head office was downtown. and they'd book it and it'd be like on the edge of town. And then they'd have to cab it over. Be like, why didn't you just stay at the Delta? It's like, it's connected to our office. You could just walk over. Well, because the one down on South Regina was $30 cheaper. Yeah, but you took a $30 cab ride to get here. You're going to take another $31 back, and then you're going to do that again tomorrow. You're going to end up spending more money. Yeah, but when you do the search, you have to click the cheapest one. Yeah. Oh, okay. So at least you're not working for them, Mike. Hey,
Good point.
Yeah. Anyway, today's
Note to self, check expenses.
right. Yeah, Mike's just
Sean,
all willy nilly.
please.
Yeah, that's basically the principle I work off of, Sean. So you don't even have to look into this stuff. I was already doing that.
Is this where I should break the news that we're actually not going to a steakhouse for dinner?
Right. Yeah. Did I say the
We're
keg
actually-
with a K?
We're actually going to Denny's tonight.
Yeah. 24/7, baby. So it's really convenient that you guys showed up at this time, because I just recently wrote a little article that we published on our website on the blog all about Fiberon's lineup, and we were planning on doing a Fiberon podcast right away anyway. And so
We flew you in.
what better time?
No, we
Thank you
didn't.
for covering
And
the
to do it
cost of
now.
our flights.
Right. Exactly.
We'll make up for it with wine tonight.
So how we like to do these. Do you want to get something out of the way really quick first? Do you guys warranty a deck if it has a picture frame border around it? Is that
Yes, we do.
okay?
Personally,
100%.
Definitely do.
corporately, or like just personally?
Corporately, personally, businessly,
Okay.
everything.
Businessly.
You're covered.
So there's a funny, I'm going to talk about it because it's probably people listening to this probably saw that thread, but there's a thread recently that came up where somebody's asking like, what do you think about Fiberon? I'm looking at Fiberon in my market. Should I use it? Should I not? Kind of thing. And a lot of people are like, yeah, it's great, whatever. But there was one comment that came out that was like, I haven't touched it because they don't warranty a deck with a picture frame on it, which is 100% false and really a bogus thing to even come out of somebody's mouth at some point. But so we had to do some digging in there and be like, where did this come from? Where did this start? And so we did some research today and we got to the bottom of it. But just so everybody knows out there, you are allowed to picture frame
Did
a
that guy
deck.
lose his job today?
Not yet. That's a long distance phone call these guys can't make. They have to wait till they get home to make that phone call.
Gotcha.
Save the budget. But anyways, we want to go through your guys' lineup and a little bit about the other products that Fiberon sells as well, and talk about kind of, we're going to give our unfiltered opinions every step of the way.
As we do.
I would expect nothing less.
You guys can try to control the narrative, and we'll see how that goes for you.
Click.
I've got
might get turned
I've got
off,
the
and
bite.
that might
Yeah,
get
I've got the
turned
buttons
off.
right here.
I'm just going to start pushing.
Can you hit that song button, please?
I can. Yeah. Yeah. This one.
Voyeurism.
Whoa.
Now
That's
you
kind
know.
of sounded like me.
It's me talking to me. So anyways, Fiberon, you guys are obviously a manufacturer of composite decking as well. I do that sometimes for our American friends.
Yep.
It's composite, right? That's how you say it out east too. But you also do other things like cladding, railing. What else? What else you guys got? Lighting. What are we missing in here? Anything? Cladding and lighting.
Furniture.
And railing.
Oh, yeah, furniture.
Furniture now. You're in the
Yes.
furniture space as well. So
Online.
an outdoor living company now.
Yes.
A complete offering.
Let's get the other stuff out of the way real quick, because we're going to dive into the decking quite a bit, because that's what we know the most, and that's kind of your bread and butter too, right? You're
100%.
not paying bills with the furniture line
Nope.
yet.
Yet.
It's coming.
So let's start there. Furniture. What's the furniture offering look like, and why get in? Like, not that you guys made this call, but like, why get into the furniture space?
I think it was a decision from the executive level of, we've got a great material, we've got a great core system, a great capping system, and there's a lot of furniture that's out there that's composite or PVC. Why not use the same material that we have in the trademarks and put it out as an offering? Right now, it's sold online only. You can get your Adirondack chairs, your tables, your kind of like a bar setup. It's pretty cool. All different kind of colors. It's all available out
Would
there.
it work well like a patio furniture? Like a bistro table? and
100%.
chairs?
Yeah. There's like a bistro table that you can put a little
It's not
fire
like
pit on there.
Sectional couch for your basement,
Absolutely.
Wade.
I haven't used the internet in so long. COVID.
So
right?
do you guys actually manufacture this? Is this some sort of like licensing partnership thing?
We use our material, and then a company manufactures and
I
builds
see.
it for us. Yes.
I see. Cool.
A couple different profile offerings
Yes.
in the line. So
And is it only going to be online sales at some point, or does Fiberon think that that's going to make its way into a dealer channel at some point? Asking for a friend.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, we always prefer when our dealers sell direct to customers. That's the best. That works super good for us. So
I think right now it's going to stay as an online presence, but if it kind of builds momentum, I could kind of see it going through a distribution channel for
So
sure.
people just order it online and it ships direct to
Correct.
your house
US
right
or
now.
Canada.
Pricing and everything is right on the website.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Well, that's good. Like if you're actually a consumer, that's how you'd like that to work.
100%.
Okay, so furniture, check. Cladding, you want to go there?
Sure. Want me to go?
You guys have been doing cladding for a while. I don't remember which show it was when it was kind of like announced, but at that time it was kind of basically deck boards, Fiberon Horizon line, I feel like it was.
Correct.
Yep.
That was just getting installed vertically on a wall.
Yep.
Yeah, that was like 4 years ago that we saw that, right?
Yep.
Probably.
Yep.
And so what's changed? How does it work
So
now?
originally it was our square edge deck board profile in the Horizon Symmetry line as a rain screen application. So you had your standard inch thick deck board that you were face screwing to your exterior application. New and improved, we have come out with a new system called the Wildwood cladding.
Sounds pretty good.
Beautiful stuff.
So got my interest.
So it's a thinner profile now, so it's not your standard deck board thickness that our previous cladding system was. So you got a thinner profile. You
Can't walk on your walls anymore.
That's true.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem.
True. Depends how it's supported, I guess.
Yeah. So thinner profile and a variety of colors.
You can't talk to him when he's doing it. See how sidetracked he is? Just let him read his notes he's got written down in his head.
I was visioning walking vertically.
And when he's done his notes, then ask him questions. Yeah. Like, you got him off track. He's now got to go back and like,
Find his place.
Hit the music button, please.
Interject.
So how many colors are we talking here?
8 total.
8 colors.
8 colors.
Yep.
Okay. And where are you getting traction on this stuff? I see it often in like commercial spaces, like fast food restaurants seem to be really jumping onto that now. Is that kind of what you're after? Like, do you ever envision a residential market for that kind of thing?
It's starting to. Even in Canada, we get, I'd probably say, a handful of leads, every couple months.
Yep.
It's really taken off in the States. If you look at our website or kind of see any of our cladding portfolios, the biggest projects that we're really hitting is what you were saying, commercially, right? Like you're talking like Starbucks, fast food restaurants, commercial building, police buildings. Panda Express is kind of where it started. That's kind of where this application is really hitting home. But we're also doing a lot of projects in the U.S. where they're doing privacy screens, cladding on certain elevations on the houses, and we're starting to get some inquiries on that as well.
So I took a phone call this morning from a guy who was working on it must be a pergola or a slat roof system.
Yep.
And they need U channels fastened onto aluminum, and then they want to put deck boards in there, like 2 feet, like 2 foot long runs or 4 foot long runs just in a roof system.
Yep.
And so Horizon Symmetry was one of the boards I talked about because it has a finish on both sides, right?
Yeah.
So it works in those privacy walls. And
Well, and you guys did a cladding project a few years ago.
yeah, Souls Harbor did one. And so that was 1 inch thick deck boards.
Mm-hmm.
The complication at that time was trying to find a way to fasten it.
Yeah.
And so we didn't have a short screw with a Cortex plug.
Yeah.
So they had to purchase the box of Cortex fasteners because that was the only way you could get the plug at that time. And then they had to buy 1 5/8" screws, metal sheet, like thin screws, and pre-drill a hole, put the screw in, put the plug in, and then throw the stainless steel 2.5 inch screw out, and then next. So anyways, that was the only complication we had with that. So
It turned out nice, though. It looks amazing.
yeah. So the fastening for the new cladding system, is the fastening a bit better than that, or is it still cumbersome?
We still recommend the same. Yeah, using any kind of screw system that you have.
Color match screw,
color match
Starborn Pro Plug system, or stainless steel.
Yeah.
And so do you have
industrial
those,
look.
do you have them packaged together? Like, do you have short screws and plugs packaged together now, or is it still like buy the Pro Plug or buy the Cortex screws and plug set up and then throw away the long screws and then purchase other short screws?
That I don't know off the top of my head.
I'd have to dig around for that.
I'd say for like when we're selling a project like that, it's really up to the GC or the contractor to kind of outsource that screw from whatever store or distributor. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So we don't necessarily sell that as a SKU to our distributors in the channels, but it has to be outsourced.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But you do control the plug. And so if the plug was sold separately, then people could purchase the plug separately and then they could buy their screw however they'd like, right?
Exactly.
True.
And I think we're doing that now, right?
I don't know. I'm just letting you go. See, I'm just like,
Hit the button.
which one?
Does it end this?
Okay, so cladding solution there. Railing, you haven't touched on yet? What do you got from a railing perspective?
In Canada this year, we're stocking through our distribution channels the Countryside composite railing system.
Okay.
So nice system, I believe. It comes in a white, black, brown. In terms of ordering it, it's pretty simplistic. You get your posts, you get your post cap, your post skirts, and then you get your line kits, whether that's a 6-foot or an 8-foot section. It can do both a line and a stair, and you get all your hardware. Easy peasy.
That's a good way to do that.
The kit, the horizontal kit will do stair as well in
Yes.
one kit.
Yeah.
Yes. So you get the hardware components and the brackets to do either one. So you don't have to think about, okay, what am I doing? Or I forgot I bought a line instead of a stair. I have to get extra hardware. It comes in the kit, both.
Does
Yes.
it come with some sort of like angle adapter,
Yes.
or how do you?
Yes,
Correct.
yes,
Oh,
yes,
cool.
You're
yes,
basically
yes.
going to order your 6 or your 8-foot section. That's going to come with your top rail, your bottom rail, your balusters. You have the option with square composite balusters, around metal aluminum balusters, your hardware then for both the line or the stair section. And then your other kit is going to be your post kit. So your post cap, post skirt, and a sleeve.
That's cool. Sounds expensive, getting all that shit in there you don't need.
I'm
kidding, I'm kidding.
Sounds great to
No.
me. I was like, you ever try to order the competitors one? And it's like, you got to remember this filler and that
Yeah,
bracket. and
less
it's
SKUs
like,
is for
oh,
sure. That's
boy.
one of the
This
things
is
that
not the way to do it.
We
one of
used
the-
to do it the other way, and I think it caused a lot more problems.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Trying
so
to make it
many
as
options
easy
is
as
not a good
possible for
thing.
the sales team, really.
that's right. Because if it's complicated for the sales team, nobody's going to sell
Nobody's
it.
going to order it.
So we're down, like we're downstairs trying to sell something, and imagine you're the consumer, and the person selling it to you is now like, I don't know,
It's
like I guess I'll
confused.
just kind of look it up online and see. And all of a sudden, your salesperson has no confidence, and
Yeah,
you're like,
for sure.
well, I'm not buying this stuff. Like the people that sell it don't even know how to sell it.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about this
So-
earlier a little bit too, is like, because we carry a variety of aluminum like railing systems too, like different brands, whatever.
Aluminium.
Yeah, whichever. And one of the nicest things about some of them is like how simplistic it is. Like post, rail section,
Yes.
and a cap.
Yep.
That's fun. Like, that's easy. As other brands, and they're fine. They sell well and they're whatever, but it's different. There's 8 SKUs to remember to do that. It's just more
Right.
chance to mess it up.
Well, we recognize that, aluminum has a market, but there's also a market for composite where somebody wants a totally different look. They want a beefier railing look, and we have that market. And I think the big thing now is the gap between aluminum and composite rail for us specifically. It has shrunk. It's not as big of a gap as it used to be. So
Okay.
it used to go from an aluminum system to a composite system was a huge jump.
Correct.
That's really come down a lot.
Because aluminum's gone up, or because composite's gone down.
Aluminum has gone up.
Correct.
Okay.
And so, are there other? You mentioned like in Canada, what's available here. Are you familiar with what's available in the States? Because 3/4 of our audience is in the States. So, do you have other offerings there that they may be interested in as well?
Yeah, so we have another.
What
we
am I
have
missing
another
out on in Canada?
We have
That's
another
what I want.
composite railing system as well called the Brio rail.
Okay.
It's similar to the Countryside in terms of 6 or 8 foot sections. You have a white, brown, black offering. You have a square composite baluster as well as a round metal aluminum baluster. The big difference is the profile though of the Brio. So the Brio has that flat top handrail, which has
yeah.
always been very popular. You can set a drink on.
Yeah.
The Countryside is more of a rounded hand profile.
Right.
So
Right.
really it's a difference of look.
Yep.
It's an
Gotcha.
aesthetic look.
Cool.
Any
Any other-
aluminum rail? Does
Yes.
Fiberon have aluminum
Yes,
rail?
we do.
In the States?
City side, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think it's a 36-inch rail
36
height.
inch height only,
it's
so
available.
it really doesn't work for us in Canada.
Gotcha.
But also getting it into this market and price wise, we weren't really going to be, unfortunately, competitive.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
For some
That makes
reason,
sense.
Canada seems to be like a hotbed of aluminum railing.
Big time.
Like both the market and a lot of the biggest aluminum manufacturers seem to be based in BC.
Yeah.
It seems.
Yeah.
Not sure why, but seems to be the case. Any other product categories before we dive into the fun stuff?
Lighting.
Not to say your railing and
Do
your
you wanna
cladding
do,
is boring,
like,
but
lighting. You guys had lighting for a bit, and then
Oh,
you
right,
took
lighting.
it away, and then it's back
It
now.
disappeared, then it came back. Yeah, it's a much easier lighting system where now it's kind of a snap
Plug and play.
connection, plug and play
good.
That's good.
offering.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we still do the same kind of riser lights. We do the side post lights. You got your post cap lights, all that kind of good stuff.
Right.
It's just much easier to build, and it's getting a little more intuitive too, where you can get a key fob that has Bluetooth, wireless, all that kind of good stuff.
right. Cool.
Yeah,
That's good.
all low voltage LED.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just had to throw that in there.
See?
Nice.
That was me.
Okay, now let's get to the brass tacks here and talk about your decking lineup.
Okay.
So Fiberon's one of the, well, I don't know if I should say one of the few, but Fiberon's one of the unique vendors that produces both an HDPE product as well as a PVC product. So some companies only do one, you do both. Your PVC stuff tends to sit at kind of like the higher end price point, more premium product, and your PE stuff kind of ranges the whole gamut from entry level to high end. Yep. So start at the bottom. Good Life.
Like Drake.
Right? I was waiting for somebody to sneak in there and finish that for me.
Surprised the guy from Toronto missed it.
Right?
Degrassi High.
Yeah. Your entry level price point, and we're not going to talk about the shit that might be like made an appearance at a box store once in a while and isn't available everywhere else. Stuff's junk, right?
Really putting us on the spot here.
No. So Good Life.
I'm not commenting.
Good Life. Good Life is your what we would consider to be your kind of entry level price point, because
Correct.
that's under a Fiberon brand is where it starts basically, and so that's offered in a couple colors: your cottage and cabin,
Yep.
3-side cap, scalloped, solid color, no variegation, but nice deep ingraining to it.
Yep.
That line crushes for us. Absolutely crushes for
100%.
us.
Super durable capping on it, so you get a really good quality product and a really good
Robust.
aesthetic. That's a good word.
We decided.
I was just going
that
to try it.
Was there a bet that Wade had to use that word at some point in this podcast? It was like, here it
We
is.
should have done that.
Yeah, we should have.
Did I tell you that we did that? Carly and I did that the other day. Did I ever tell you that we did that?
No.
So we had that meeting, like between all four of us or five of us. We were on a call.
Yeah.
And Carly walked into my office and set 4 pieces of paper down. And I had to say 4 words during the meeting. And he had 4 as well. And so we were trying to like interject them into our meetings. And it was, I forget what show it was from. It was from Manilo Teaches Golf. And it was like, you had to be like, that's nasty. Right. And so like Carly and I, throughout the course of our meeting, had said that. And him and I were laughing. It was kind of like an inside joke. But anyways.
Guess you
Did
had to
not
be
pick
there.
up on that.
What
You
I
must
can
have done
tell
it
is-
very well.
What I can tell is it's a lot of fun to have those pieces of paper around. So yeah, next time we should do that with guests. You'd be like,
Sure.
here you go.
Great idea.
Yeah, put these in.
So what does Fiberon use as the kind of like prime selling points or features of the Good Life line? So what we like about it is the plugs as well.
So
Just to step in before I let you answer that, I'll give you a second to think about it. But your scallop boards actually do have the Cortex / Starburn Pro Plug systems for hidden fasteners as well, which some of the other
Correct.
scalloped offerings competitively do not offer, which is something we always liked. But
Correct.
and you asked about Good Life, but there's 2 lines in Good Life, right?
yeah,
Correct.
So
Yeah, so we have the Escapes and we have the Weekender collection. I think one of the first things that jumps out about Good Life for us and why we've had the success of it is it's been in the market in Canada for a long time. It's been tested in our market. Structurally, it's held up. It's a really, really good product. And we have some really, really nice coloring throughout the different lines of Good Life. And our price point is very aggressive. So you're getting a tremendous amount of value for an entry-level deck board with our Good Life line.
yeah. I think that's why it does so well for us. I've got it on my house, and given the choice of everything that was on the wall, that was one I thought gave me the best like price point, looks, and like the other benefits of having the plugs.
Yeah.
The traction's not bad on it. It's not great, but it's not bad.
Yep.
Compared to other products at that price point. But it just looks really nice. I like the graining in it, because some of the other ones that don't have that deeper graining look boring because they are just a solid color. Like there's nothing color-wise that's exciting about cottage or cabin. But the fact that the graining, the embossing on it is interesting makes it like attractive.
Yeah, you don't have a really like plasticky looking board like
Right.
some of the competitors.
some visual
right?
texture.
Yeah.
I have a couple top dealers. I don't know if you guys do this with your customers, but in the East, they kick butt with Good Life too, just like you guys. Everybody that comes in and asks, okay, let's compare it to a certain manufacturer. I'm not going to say who that is, but they'll take the board and make the pitch that we engineer it and produce it. No different than we do with our mid-level Sanctuary, our Concordia high level. It's the same capping, same core, and they'll actually do a scratch comparison, us versus the other scallop boards, and it's big difference.
Yeah.
night and day.
It's certainly
And right
more
there
durable.
gets them closer to that sale,
Yeah.
or gets them to sale.
So TC Dex on Instagram here, he's a contractor out of Utah, says Utah people love the cabana. In fact, my wife wants to coin the phrase "grage" to describe it. So to Wade's point, the Escapes collection is the variegated Good Life offering. Does cost a little bit more to get that pretty colors. Outside of that, it's
All
exactly
good
the
things
same
do,
board.
though,
Yeah.
right?
You're going from a 25-year warranty on your Weekender collection to a 30-year warranty on your Escapes collection, which covers your staining and your fading and your structural integrity of that board. But going into that, I think this is the best bang for your buck, is the Escapes collection, because now you've got all the benefits of the first one, but the coloring is awesome on it. And I agree, Cabana's a freaking rocket.
Yeah, you have 4 really nice colors. You have a really nice gray color in Beach House. You got 2 browns, the Tuscan Villa. You have the lighter brown, the Bungalow. You got the darker brown, and then Cabana, which last year was a new color for us, and it did extremely well because it is, like TC said, it's your grayish color. So it kind of plays between both your grays and your browns. So
I think we're doing that outside on our outdoor showroom, aren't we? That one with Beach House, which
Cabana
I didn't.
with Beach House. Looks really good.
At first, I was like,
good
I don't know if
combo.
those 2 colors work, but then I saw them together. I was like, turns out they do work.
Yeah, there was somebody in Saskatoon that did that last year. And as they were walking it out the door, I was like, good luck with that. And then they brought some pictures back. I was like, oh no, that works.
Yeah. Because Beach House is more of like a neutral, little bit bluey
Yeah, it's blue.
color to it. But the Cabana has the streaking that's in it. It is kind of a grayish bluey
it pulls it out of it.
color too. So that's probably why it works, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great line, and it comes in priced again quite competitively, probably a little bit less than competitors' products there again, but with all the same benefits. So.
That's right.
And then we get to Sanctuary line would be kind of the next in if we're going to organize this by price. Sanctuary is your first full thickness board, 3-side cap still, but not scalloped anymore. What are the other benefits? Like, why would somebody want to spend a bit more to go from, say, the Good Life line to the Sanctuary line?
My opinion, if the customer is really into the visuals and the aesthetics of the board, obviously price is going to be some part of the play in the final or buying decision. I just think Sanctuary overall, in terms of the streaking and the looks and the 5 colors we have, me personally, I think it's the best all around board offering we have for all the colors and the looks, the embossing, the graining. It's not as deep as Good Life, but it has a little bit of depth to it to add a little bit of that shadow line to it, but it doesn't necessarily collect some dirt, and you don't have to clean your deck as much as possible. But just those looks and the matte finish of it, I just think it is our best offering.
Yeah, so you don't
Best
like
value for sure.
Not that you don't like, of course you like all of the lines because you work for the company, so they're all amazing. But you personally would prefer
100%.
the shallower ingraining.
Me, yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Well, I think
100%.
with Sanctuary as well, you get really nice streaking throughout it, so you get a ton of color variegation. For me, I think with Sanctuary, you're aesthetic wise, you're really going in like the premium PE category. You're getting a high end aesthetic, but for us, it's our mid tier price point, and you're getting a 40-year stain fade and structural warranty, so you get a ton of value with that line.
I agree that I don't know that the deep embossing would work as well without. I don't think it's needed on the Sanctuary line because the coloring. The one thing I always tell people is that the coloring on it is much more consistent and realistic than the Good Life line, because the coloring for Cabana, Beach House, etc., is nice, but it's a bit more blotchy, right? Like you don't get much coloring here, and all of a sudden it's going like, there's a blotch of color here. Whereas with Sanctuary line, what's that?
You could sell it better than that.
Right? I'm selling your Sanctuary right now. I'm upselling, Mike. But it is a little bit more blotchy, whereas Chai and Earl Grey and those ones all have much more consistent like hairline streaking through them. It's not as blotchy, which I like.
More vertical streaking, I would say.
Yeah. That's not like right or wrong either way. It's just 2 different aesthetics. But I think that the Sanctuary is a little bit nicer of a color palette to it.
I agree.
Yeah,
That's probably because how they make them, right? So like when we were at the plant, you remember the Good Life line where they blopped the color on? It was like blop.
It's a big drop came out of the food color dye thing. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's it.
I've seen it.
So yeah, I would say like, because I don't know that for the average homeowner that the fact that it's not scalloped matters to them for the most part, right? Like, I don't know, is it stronger? Yeah, probably it's a little bit stronger, probably, but it's not to say that the Good Life isn't strong. It
still gets
strong
installed 16-inch on center.
Still installs the same way.
Okay, was like, well then
they both have the plugs. It comes down to the aesthetic, and it's for sure a nicer looking board, but you spend a little bit more. But to your point, it's like it's got all the benefits of a high end board, but at kind of like a mid to mid high price point. So like it's not over $6 in Canada. It's well under that, but you still get a full thickness board, all the coloring you get out of normally a premium board, and a 40-year warranty. So
and still very durable.
Still very durable.
I think Good Life is more durable, I think,
than Sanctuary.
Than Sanctuary.
meaning like the capping or
scratching.
Maybe you've just partied harder on Sanctuary
Sanctuaries.
before. Yeah.
The name would
possible.
imply that I wouldn't, but right?
I think Sanctuary similar to Good Life too. All of the colors are nice colors. Like you can't go wrong with any color in Good Life, and you can't go wrong with any color in Sanctuary. They're all good sellers.
Agreed.
Yeah. And they often like play well together too to mix and match and kind of find your stuff, whatever.
And I think our big advantage is, especially in 2022, with kind of the way pricing has gone so far in the year, it's a mid-level board, like you said, 3-sided cap, unfinished in the bottom, flat back. There is not another competing board out there that is at that level.
Right.
What it gives you for that price point.
Yeah,
we have a
certainly.
big advantage.
Yeah,
Big,
warranty and
big,
price
big,
point
big.
is huge there.
Yeah.
And I'm speculating, like we've always found that mid price point to be a little bit of a dead zone for us, where it's like either somebody has the money to get the really good premium stuff, or they want to spend on a budget, and so they've got go cheap. So that middle, what I would call in Canada anyway, that middle price point used to be like the $4 to $5 range, or $5 give or take $1. I'm wondering if that's going to see a bit of a resurgence because of the inflationary pricing on the entire category, the entire world, let's say.
Yeah.
But the fact that a premium price board now in Canada used to be $556, now it's more like $657, $8, $9, $10, depending on who you're looking at.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
that $5 category suddenly like finds its home,
Second wind.
kind of, right?
Yeah.
Because you
it
can
was
get that
strong.
premium look again, but not spend $10 a linear foot.
I think so.
Yeah.
So like
I think we'll see that this year.
we've seen sales slow down that category even a little bit, but I'm like, I'm not ready to like claw back on that yet, because this might be the year where all of a sudden you see it surge again, potentially, right? But
And especially like in this market, Sanctuary has a really strong presence. We've been in this market for a long time, Saskatchewan specifically.
Yeah.
So it's a very well-known line for us. It's going to continue to do well.
yeah. USMC just landed in Boston. First thing he did, turned on this podcast to watch us.
Nice.
Because Boston, nothing fun to do there.
Nope.
So then above your
That's good
Sanctuary
that he's in
line,
Boston. He won't be fishing there. It's probably too cold.
Right.
He was sending me pictures of fishing last week.
was he? So then you get into your Concordia series, which,
2 lines.
good on you for adding more names to things. That was good. But so then you guys within Concordia now, and Concordia kind of like encapsulates 2 subcategories.
Yes.
But this is where your 4-sided cap stuff comes into play through the horizon and the symmetry lines.
Correct.
So do you want to explain a little bit why 2 lines and what the differences are between them?
Yep. Concordia has built 2 lines, Horizon, which has basically been our original 4-sided cap board, right, since day one in Canada, 11, 12 years ago. 4 colors in that. And then a few years ago, we introduced an addition to the 4-sided cap line called Symmetry, which is a much more kind of current, more aesthetically pleasing board that kind of technology has brought us to right now. So matte finish, micro beveled engraining, more scattered color streaking, like you were kind of saying with
Sanctuary.
before with I'd say more Good Life, where Horizon was a little bit kind of streaky and blotchy, if you will.
Yeah.
Symmetry has taken that away, where it looks to me more like a PVC board,
Right.
right? Where it has that kind of scratching, micro beveled look to it, but all the streaking is nice and scattered throughout.
Yes.
So visually wise, I think it's pleasing. We've got 4 colors in that line. I'd say in Canada, though, we sell a lot of grays and gray browns, 65%.
Yep.
We're kind of missing that color palette in that line, I think, where hopefully we bring that out in the next year and a half or so, and can kind of bring a little boost to that Concordia.
You're missing the grays and the greyes in that line, you mean? In the
think so.
horizon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Symmetry.
In
Like,
Symmetry.
to me, Horizon's got it's older technology, right? It's a little more shinier. It's our old embossing, right?
It's a touch slippery.
You can't deny that Ipe
Yeah.
coloring, though.
So
I
the
will
Ipe
say
coloring is one of the nicest colors
It's been
in the whole market.
best color for us since
Definitely.
day one, for
Yeah.
sure.
This is where we're going to scrap, and Fiberon's going to be like, don't let those guys talk about that. I'm just kidding. But I do like the one caveat I have with, and to your point, it's been around a long time, the embossing, the technology's advanced, but that Horizon line is very slippery because of the smooth grain to it. But no denying that the coloring is some of the nicest in the industry.
Yes.
What sells that line is the
Ipe.
colors.
Yeah.
Right? Like Ipe is gorgeous.
It is.
Like all the colors in that line are gorgeous. When you get that installed on a full deck and you can see those kind of sweeping colors through it, like it looks amazing.
Yeah, I think it's pretty unique, right? Like
100%.
nobody else really does that in any of their lines as far as coloring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that smooth embossing is always where we're like, but just heads up, it
I
is
was
a little
like,
bit slippery.
I
if you're
don't
okay
think
with that.
anybody at Fiberon's head office is going to be caught off guard by this. If they listen to any of our podcasts,
Yeah.
we've We
Yeah.
never, not one time, said that was good.
But then the cool thing about the symmetry line is that all of a sudden you went, because let's be honest too, the Horizon one doesn't look realistic. Nobody's getting fooled and it's like, oh, that looks exactly like whatever, like Western red cedar, like it's named after. It doesn't. It's beautiful, but it doesn't look realistic. Symmetry, on the other hand, very realistic.
Agree.
To like hardwood, right? Like that one actually can fool people.
So it did fool people.
Our old showroom.
So we had it in the old showroom on Dudney,
Yeah,
and
I
we had
remember
put Cinnabar
Yep.
on the back side of the
As like a
desk
cladding.
as a cladding.
Yep.
We were
So
using
ahead
it.
of the
We
game.
were using it as cladding before Fiberon was using it as cladding. But
Innovators.
yeah, and then we had actual red Bilal in the countertop, or red too. And there was people that thought it was the same board.
Yep.
You'd have to touch it to
was
tell it wasn't.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
So
We had a similar story too at the Toronto Home Show years ago when we first brought out Symmetry. We put down burnt umber as a picture frame, which you can do picture frames, and warm sienna.
You still get the full 50 years?
And warm sienna is the main part of the display deck. And we had so many people walk by thinking it was an exotic wood.
actual hardwood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it looks good.
Easier to cut.
Like I said,
easier
if
to install.
we can add, I'm hoping we've given this feedback back to marketing because again, Canada, we're heavy on the grays and the gray browns. If we can get like a chai or a cabana kind of tone,
Correct.
I think that'd
That'd be fire.
phenomenal.
Yeah. That'd be really good.
Yeah, because you added the dark one, graphite,
Yes, it's a nice,
which is a really good
Yep,
color.
yep.
But right now, it's not complementing anything
No,
in that line.
Yeah,
And
It'd
it's
be a
really
good-
dark by itself.
It'd be a
right?
good border.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it needs a lighter gray.
Yeah.
Yep.
So benefits of going to that line are the four-sided cap.
Yep.
I always find the benefit of that to be like most people aren't going to see the benefit of that either. And the nice thing, whether you're willing to spend money on it or not, is during install, if you get a bit of a defect on one side or you've scratched something, you flip it over and use it.
Which
or if you're
happens.
cutting miters, maybe you can get
Yep, a
maybe
little piece.
maybe this little piece works now where it wouldn't if it wasn't double-sided. That can happen here and there. Certainly doesn't probably justify the increase in cost for that reason alone. Like you'd be better to have a little bit more waste on the sanctuary line kind of thing.
I think the other big thing though is like for an elevated deck,
Second level. Yep.
you have a finished product on the bottom side. So if you are looking up, some people,
Yeah.
it's pretty important.
And so I've always also questioned that aesthetic because you're seeing the bare framing. But if you're putting it on top of something like an aluminum frame or like the Fortress steel frame or something like that, where it looks good, then also it's important for the board to also look good.
Yeah.
Because part of the way that Fortress sells that steel framing is like, it looks nice. It's powder coated black. And it's like, okay, well, it'd be good if the board didn't look like crap on the bottom too then. Like that would be nice. And it also probably allows installation into, and I'll be honest, I don't know if the warranty is different for it as far as how the ventilation required for the four-side cap, or is it?
No.
Same thing. But in reality, probably protects the bottom of the board a little bit better in low ventilation areas as well, potentially, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I would think
So
Privacy wall stuff.
Privacy, yeah, that's where I was going to go. Privacy walls, because we sell quite a bit of like composite deck boards in privacy walls, like slat style.
Channels. Yep.
And a lot of people will do, like they pick their decking and it might be Good Life, but not many people want the backside of Good Life to be shown, even if they don't like their neighbor.
Yeah.
And so often they'll do, whatever decking they want on the floor, but the privacy wall ends up getting, could be Fiberon Concordia line, could be like Wolf that does dual-sided boards. It's something dual-sided, so it looks good on both sides.
Yeah.
But also it's nice that yours is, we should mention that, it's not only four-sided capped, it's four-sided finished on both sides too.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because
Fully
TimberTech, for
embossed
example, will
history.
do four-side cap, but the back isn't
Correct.
colored. It's just, it's capped, but not colored properly.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or
So
some
that's nice
PVC
too.
boards will be colored in the bottom, but not have the graining,
Not the texture.
embossing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So great line if you're looking for premium board. If you're if you want those beautiful sweeping colors, then Horizon's it. If you want something more realistic, but more of a subtle coloring to it, then Symmetry for sure does that to you.
Yep. Agree.
So that's it for your, what you guys call the PE line, kind of your HDPE wood plastic composite decking. And then you've got your second category of PVC boards.
Yep.
So do you want to give a quick, like what the difference is between kind of your PE boards and your PVC boards from a how they're made, kind of why there's a difference, why
The
you do both?
science behind
Like
it.
why you'd want to buy one over the other?
Sure. Why? Sure. Yeah.
I would say the biggest feedback from contractors, homeowners, dealers is PVC. If I'm a contractor, I'd probably want to choose that. It's lighter to work with, right? Like lugging 20-foot boards, second level, multi-tier is not fun.
Yep.
Not that I build decks, but I've done a few, and they get heavy. Second thing is you've always got to take in consideration where the deck is facing, right? So if you're facing west and getting blasted with sun all afternoon, composite in general, doesn't matter who it is, Obviously, darker colors, you're going to feel a little bit more of the heat radiate off those deck boards. PVC tends to be much cooler on the feet. So to me, those would be the two main reasons why customers nowadays, with websites and all the information available, that's kind of the feedback we get of why you'd go PVC versus PE.
So I'll just add on to that. So composite, what you're getting with a composite deck board is you're getting recycled wood fibers, you're getting recycled plastic, it's getting combined and co-extruded. PVC doesn't have any of the wood fibers. PVC is just cellular PVC. So because of that, it retains less heat. Because of the embossing as well on PVC, you get a little bit better slip resistance, which makes it really great for anything for water exposure. So if you're around a pool or a dock or a hot tub, something like that, PVC is a really great product to go with.
For a few reasons, right? The extra traction, there's nothing that can be affected by moisture in it.
Organic content, right? So it's not going to mold
and cools off faster.
Correct.
We found in testing that if they're both sitting in direct sunlight and the sun's pounding on it in the middle of the day, that they both get hot to the touch, but it's the heat dissipation of the PVC. As soon as that gets cooled off, either by shade or by water splashing on it, it cools off almost instantly. Whereas that heat, the composite, like so dense, it just like radiates heat for a while. So for sure, some benefits. So you guys have two lines in there now. Yes. For the longest time, it was just the Paramount line.
Not anymore.
I had a love-or-hate relationship with the Paramount line, and you guys fixed the problems because we bitched about it enough on the podcast. So you fixed your warranty on it.
Yeah, the first was the warranty. Right?
we used to grill you guys about that all the time.
Every time.
So back in the day, your Paramount line didn't have a fade and stain warranty, but now does. Correct. So like that's been remedied a couple of years ago.
Yep.
But we always used to complain about it because like it's a premium board. Everything else does. Why not this one? And there was never a good answer to it. It was like, we don't really know why we don't have it on there. It doesn't.
Yeah, we never had issues, but for whatever reason, it didn't.
And that was it. That was the answer that we got. It was like, I don't know. We've never had an issue with it, but it doesn't have one.
Yeah. Okay. So that got added on. Did we mention warranty on the Concordia line? It was 50 years?
Well, you dropped it in there in the conversation if somebody was listening close.
Right. Yeah. So on the PE stuff, it's 25, 30, 40, 50 as you go up the line.
Correct.
With the PVC stuff, you start at 50.
All 50.
Yep. So Paramount, nice. It's got more of the coloring similar to the Horizon line, the sweeping colors. Yes. And I would say that the Promenade line that came out is more similar to Symmetry. More of that
100%
hairline, streaking line. So two lines. Why the release of a second PVC line?
I think just Paramount in general, a lot of the feedback was the embossing a little bit kind of rough, if you will. And I think with the design and the introduction of Symmetry, we just felt like we needed a higher level of PVC to add to the market.
Right.
Yeah, to match that same pattern.
Yeah, I found manufacturers in PVC, we all know who they are. They were just coming out with nice looking boards and nicer embossing and finishing, and we needed to do the same.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I also think technology's improved too. So with Promenade now, you're getting a newer technology. You're getting a denser core. So traditionally with PVC, you get a little bit more sponginess out of the board, so you get a little bit more flex. Promenade, you get a bit of a stiffer feel on it because the core is denser.
And it's a little bit thicker too, right?
Yeah,
the board itself has an extra eighth of inch material.
Correct.
That's why it's thicker? Or you just went thicker just because?
I'm just going with that.
Okay.
We just
I
want to be
actually
better.
don't know the answer.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
And they both have Class A fire ratings now.
Correct.
Paramount will, and then Promenade does. So we can now get into commercial jobs. And
yeah,
stuff.
that's good.
So TC Deck says, I'd prefer PVC because it's lighter, easier on the tools and blades, can be sanded easier, which I wouldn't have thought of that one, easier to screw in the cold, and looks better and smells good when you cut it.
Yeah.
Those
are all true.
That is true. Smell for sure.
So I like a few of the things that Promenade did.
What do you think you meant by sanding?
I'm guessing maybe sanding over the edges, like softening the edges a little bit on
So you
a.
don't have that sharp piece.
So you don't have the
make it
sharp
On the
cut,
cuts, on the
right?
cuts, yeah.
So that was one of my biggest pet peeves about the Paramount line was that you have quite a big radius edge on it.
Yes.
I don't know what the actual dimension of that radius edge is,
Half
but
inch.
it's very round over. Yeah, it's very rounded, more so than like anything in the rest of your line, like in all the
it
PE
is.
boards.
Yes.
And the Promenade line that you came out with, very square shouldered, which I prefer.
I think most people prefer that.
Yeah.
I think that line overall is just a little bit more updated.
It just took everything from that we maybe like didn't love about Paramount and made it better.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's a little bit spongy. Okay, well now it's more dense and it's thicker and it's stronger. Okay, well, it's a little bit like the corners rounded. People might be wondering, like, well, what does that matter? It matters when you're doing that picture frame that you won't warranty. Here, now we know the real reason why.
Who are you talking to?
But that picture frame, when it became an issue, was like when it was rounded edge meeting rounded edge where the clips go, no big deal. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
But the problem is when you cut the end of that board and butt it up against a rounded edge, now you've got this square shoulder meeting a rounded edge and that lip there. Yeah. Like it would be like you could kick it with your feet or whatever. Like it was a sharp edge on it. Hence maybe why he was sanding the edges. But with the square shouldered stuff now, that lip doesn't happen anymore because you're getting a square shoulder board up against that square cut and it's just like a smoother transition. So we always kind of didn't like that radius edge and now that's gone. So that's good.
Yeah, Promenade's a beautiful line. Like I said, more updated. The streaking on it, it's a little bit more matte. So more your tight wire graining, just more of a modern, updated look.
Very realistic now too.
And in 6 nice colors. Like in Pyramid, I think you could probably say limited.
Good
Right,
range.
with colors. Now
Good
we got a good range.
Yeah.
The durability of it too is quite a bit more than I've seen from most PVC boards. That's one knock on PVC boards sometimes is that they're not super durable to scratching. They can be a little bit softer, whereas like you guys brought those samples to us just to, it doesn't say sponsored at the top of this episode. This was not a sponsored episode. These guys just happened to be in town.
Yeah.
But you guys brought us the samples, I don't know, like a year and a half ago, whenever it was when it came out and was like, try this. And I'll be honest, the first we looked at it was like, this looks a lot like AZEK Vintage. If people haven't seen Fiberon Promenade in their market because they don't have a dealer around or something like that, but they're familiar with Vintage, it's a very similar look to that.
Yep.
The benefit though was that one of the knocks on Vintage is that it scratches a little bit easy.
Yes.
That's what people don't like about it. It's a high price point board, but it's not super durable. This stuff gives you that same real authentic look of hardwood, but does have the durability and cost less.
Yeah.
Yep.
I always tell people that, like, you know, it's one thing coming from me, but I always use you guys as an example that you guys sell all the brands. You have access to all the brands. You'll say good and bad about all the brands. I gave you samples of Promenade to do your own independent testing. And you guys, if I remember correct, took like hammers to them.
First thing we did.
Everything.
Because the first thing you did was like, it's supposed to be more durable. It's like, yeah.
These guys will find out.
Whatever. If you tell me something, we're for sure going to try it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it was like, we tried a few things and it was like, wow, that's pretty impressive.
It was
actually.
really good. Yeah.
So, and really good traction on it too. So, anything else? The warranty is the same between the two.
50. Yep.
50 years
Stain,
on
fade.
everything.
Stain, fade, lifetime structure.
Lifetime structural.
Yep.
So that's pretty sweet.
Yep.
Yes.
You guys have a contractor program as well.
Yes.
Your Pro Rewards program. So how does that work? Because that also throws in a bit of an install warranty there if the contractor's a big enough dog in the program.
Yeah, we have a really, really strong contractor program called the Partner Program. We've had it for a long time. It's a volume tier-based program. So the more purchases you do in a year, the higher percentage you accumulate on all your purchases. So you're going to get anywhere from 2 to 5% on all your purchases as a contractor. For our premium tier, which is $40,000 a year in purchases plus, which is not a lot of decks in a year for a contractor, we're also going to kick in a 5-year labor warranty that they can offer, and we also kick in a co-marketing fund as well. So for somebody buying $40,000 a year, you'll accumulate 4% on all your Fiberon purchases. You're going to get a 5-year labor warranty, and then you'll get a separate $1,500 co-marketing fund to use that year. Yep. So that co-marketing fund,
that's pretty good.
That's really good.
And the rebate portion is like, that's like cash back. That's like,
so there's a few ways that you can do it. You can redeem it online for online gift cards, Visa cards, restaurant cards, that type of thing as well. But we also can redeem
Are there
it for
Ultimate
a
Deck Shop cards on there?
No, that's a good idea.
They're not yet, hey?
We'll get marketing on
yet.
Yeah.
We'll talk.
Yeah.
I'll have my people talk to your people.
that. We'll need some hats.
Hi,
and
I'm
shirts.
his people.
He's right here. He's in charge of the buttons too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, and it's tiered. I mean, as you get to an even higher tier, so as you get to 100,000 plus in a year, that dollar percentage goes up to 5%, and that co-marketing goes up to 3,000 instead of the 1,500.
Okay.
So a really, really great contractor program, and I think an advantage we have on our contractor program is ease of submission. So we have a mobile phone app that's free. A contractor can register for the program. All they have to do is take a picture of their invoice with their phone, and it'll upload.
That's so
to
important.
us.
Yep.
Like,
Super easy.
let's be honest. Contractors don't like doing the programs because they're complicated. It's more work after work.
Yeah.
And so they don't want to.
Yeah.
And so if you could just take a picture of it,
Yeah.
that's great.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, because I think sometimes too, it's like they don't want the extra paperwork, and it's like on the surface sometimes that if they don't sit down and do the math, they don't realize how much 2, 3, 4% adds up to be. Right? It's like I don't feel like doing the paperwork for 2%.
Yep.
But if you did $150,000 of the deck in that year, that's
good.
like thousands of dollars back. TC Dex just said I appreciated the 3% cash back on the first deck that he got. Right?
Nice.
Like that's a nice little kickback. I know I remember the first year, well, not the first year, first couple of years we were open, we had a contractor that was traditionally with another brand that kind of moved over to Fiberon. At the end of the year, he got a Visa card mailed to him, and it was like, I can't remember what it was at the time. It was like a few $100s, like $500 or $1,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
Then he got back, and he was like, he wasn't exclusively Fiberon either. That was just like his portion of that.
Yeah.
But went straight to the garbage because he wasn't used to getting mail.
He didn't know what it was, right? So it was he ended up digging it out. It's not a sad story.
good.
It's a good story, but they got a card from Fiberon and he was just like, nope,
Thought it was junk mail.
garbage.
I thought it was a flyer or something.
Came in and Wade asked him or something. I was like, did you get your rebate back yet? He's like, no. All they sent me was a junk mail. I was like, did you, like, what was it? I didn't even open it. Straight to the garbage. Oh,
I think you
might
should
wanna
open
open
that.
that.
when? Yesterday. Oh, yeah. Go back and get that. Opens it up. It's like $1,000 gift card or something like that. So,
I think the other thing too with our program is it doesn't expire. So you don't have to use all your
Correct.
points by the end of the year. Like you can carry them
Carry it
over
over.
and
That's
just
good.
keep building and building and
Gotcha.
building
Yeah.
and redeem them at any point. So, and whatever tier you finish at the prior year, you automatically start at that the next year. So if
Okay.
you finish at 3% this year, next year you'll start at 3%.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
so those co-marketing funds, does that have, like, is there parameters around that where it has to be like what they can wrap their trailer
Yes.
with it?
Yeah, so,
Like all that stuff?
there's a couple, I'd say in the last couple years, a big success rate of using the co-marketing dollars. First of all, the co-marketing dollars, it's every year. So they basically re-energize itself. So if you use your $1,500 in 2022, if you're still part of the program and you're part of that tier again for 2023, you're getting a $1,500 again. So what we've done a lot of with contractors, we've done a ton of decals on trucks, trailers. Like we've got a ton of trucks and trailers driving
co-branded
around
wearables.
with a Fiberon logo, with deck shots. It's a perfect win-win.
Yeah, because wrapping your
It's
trailer
awesome.
can last for years, even on your trucks
100%.
and stuff. Is like you
Yeah.
probably only have to redo that every
Yeah.
5 years or so. Like you can pay for that and then some.
Yeah.
Over
Yeah,
and
you
over
can
again.
cover like home show booth costs.
Yeah.
If there's any sort of other advertising you do, there's lots of different ways you can use those funds, and
Yeah.
that's separate from the actual percentage that you're accumulating on your purchases, which is huge.
You
Right.
can do wearables. You can do shows. Anything basically to market us with your company,
Right.
you can do.
Lawn signs.
Yep, 100%.
All right, now you're in trouble because Scott Kelly's on here now. Precision Construction says, love the colors, but same complaint as other companies. Labor warranty should be tied to the board, not the installer. So that's something we hear come up once in a while. That it shouldn't be that the installer who's bought $40,000 gets to offer the warranty, and the person down the street who installs their own deck or hires a guy who maybe does better work than this installer doesn't get the labor warranty.
Yes.
I don't expect you guys have an answer for that. It's like,
That's good feedback.
above
that
you,
we
but it's
certainly
feedback
pass
that we
on,
hear
right?
once in a
Yeah,
while.
absolutely.
Is like, why is that the case?
Yeah, we have meetings every year where we go through these programs again. So it's definitely stuff that we pass on.
Yeah.
But I can also say it depends on the situation, but in the past, if it's a contractor that's worked with us and obviously one of our dealers, and it was necessarily deemed that it was a product flaw, most of the time we're going to help out that contractor. Like even though it's not there, sales wise, we're gonna try and help them out.
Yeah, and that's
For
I
sure.
can
I
attest
wouldn't
to
say
that.
we leave them hanging.
No, and there's one of our contractors that doesn't achieve your partner program numbers.
Cheers. Yep.
That it had a problem one time, a few years ago, with Paramount deck that needed some boards replaced, and Mike helped him out and got it fixed up and covered that as well. So, yeah, it's good to know that there's like people behind the company that can make those kind of decisions. It's not
sure.
completely policy driven all the time.
sure.
Hide behind that, so that's good. What else did I want to talk about?
I don't know. You haven't given me
You
the
and I
notes.
know.
How about first time user rebate?
Okay, get after it.
That's
Here's your
always a good
chance.
one. So first time user rebate is a program that we came out for contractors and builders a couple years ago. We are the only ones offering this type of rebate. It's a really, really aggressive
I
rebate.
don't think it's aggressive.
Yeah, really nice.
We are offering a first-time purchase for a contractor or builder that's new to Fiberon, a 10% back on their first purchase with us. So there is a form online that they can fill out, send in with their invoice to us, or they can submit it online, and we'll mail them a check back directly for 10% on that project.
Yeah.
And that project rebate is uncapped, which is huge as well.
That's
So
like
Great for
pretty,
commercial jobs, big projects.
Yeah, I guess
right?
so.
Massive. It
Yeah,
can
you're
help
not-
you get the job.
10 grand
Right?
back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So
that's
it's a
good to know,
win-win.
too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a big program for us.
And so is it still 3 uses? Is it like
No. So that's
Just-
changed this
that
year.
changed a
So our marketing team did some data research and found that probably about 85+% of the first-time users that submitted the first invoice all of a sudden disappeared. So
Right.
did they buy more Fiberon? Possibly. But they just stopped for whatever reason submitting that invoice. Maybe they didn't know it was a second and third one.
Right.
We didn't do a good enough job saying that.
Yep.
But marketing kind of decided, you know what, since such a bulk amount percentage is only doing it for the first invoice, let's just keep it that way.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it used to be 10% and then second invoice 5%.
5 and 5.
Third
Correct.
invoice 5%, right?
Correct.
But
Right.
Correct.
if nobody's using it, then why offer it up? Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't stress really how easy it is to actually use it. Like the paperwork that you have to send in with your invoice, the one page, it's a paragraph really. It's minimal paperwork that you have to send in to actually get a check back. So it's definitely worthwhile. It'll take probably less than 3 minutes to actually submit it.
Right. Precision Construction says 10%. Damn. You might get them to do at least one.
Right.
And then go into the partner program
We
for
did our
the, for
job.
the rest of your decks.
Yeah,
Did our
that's
job.
right. Yeah. And that's what TC Dex meant too. He's like, that's what I meant. The 10% back. That was a pretty big check you got off that one. So
Glad
the
you took
3%.
advantage, TC Decks.
There you go. So anything else coming from Fiberon that we need to know? Like anything that you're anticipating for the future that I know you can't give insider details, but
But you
what can
could.
people expect from
could.
Fiberon? Oh,
Like,
one thing I
why
did
not?
want to ask: what are you expecting this year? Because people are going to wonder, what do you expect this year from a availability perspective? Because in the last couple of years, everybody's been affected a little bit by COVID. You guys have managed to keep the decking flowing fairly well, but we ran some issues. I think both years with fascia was kind of like Fiberon's strategy to keep the decking flowing was to turn off the fascia lines, push more decking. What can we expect this year? Or do you know yet?
Yeah.
Or are we just going to...
No. We're this year is going to be much improved from the 2021 and 2020. 2020 was obviously the pandemic started. We all kind of, what's going on, and had to react. 2021, we were catching up on capacity, adding to our existing plants, getting kind of the ducks in order and the behind the scenes. We just announced that we're opening up a new plant in Tennessee to open up in 2023. It's not going to help us this year, but we've added to our plants both in the west and the east, extrusion lines that capacity-wise and lead times right now that we're seeing, we're going to be far better.
So right now you have what
far
plants?
better. We have Meridian in the west. We have New London that services the east.
Okay.
And then we're opening up a plant in 2023 in Tennessee.
Third plant.
Yep.
Cool.
Mostly Midwest.
So Idaho, North Carolina, and then Tennessee.
So that, like,
So we're growing
nobody would open a third plant
for no reason.
next year for now. This is obviously not, you guys aren't expecting that this is a COVID surge. This is like outdoor living is going to continue to like spike
Fortune
demand.
Brands' goal for us when they acquired us was to double the business in 4 to 5 years. We did that in 3 years.
Wild.
And their goal right now is to double again in 3 years.
How much of it do you think is peeling away market share, and how much of it is the market growing?
Good question. We think with the way wood's going, the scarcity of it, the pricing, the way it's going, we think it's kind of both. So we think if we continue to kind of take 1.5%, 2% from wood, that just equals a big pie for everybody.
Yeah.
But it also, I think there's an opportunity for us with Fortune Brands and backing us. Like you see our brand name increasing, you see our marketing efforts in the last couple of years. We're going to take market share too.
Right.
It's both.
The one thing I hear about Fiberon when it comes up, and it comes up from time to time, it's not one of the big brands that a lot of the guys think of right away. A lot of the bigger contractors that are on Instagram and whatnot or on Facebook are kind of tied to, Trex or TimberTech usually. But every once in a while they're looking for something different. And I got to be honest, like I feel like people are kind of itching a little bit. There's like a couple things that have happened in the industry lately and products out there that are making people question their loyalties now. And so they're debating whether they want to try something new. And every once in a while Fiberon comes up. And probably the biggest issue that people say is like, I can't find it near me. like people say like try Fiberon, it's great, and he's like I would, but there's no dealer around me. How much of a push is there right now from Fortune Brands or Fiberon to expand that distribution network, maybe
dealer network, yeah?
Or is it not as maybe I'm only seeing the people that can't get it, and maybe it's not as bad as I thought, but. Like here in Saskatchewan, Fiberon's been a big brand for a long time. It's not an issue finding it here. You can find it everywhere here. Yeah. But it sounds like maybe in pockets of the U.S., maybe it's not as easy to find.
Well, or even in Canada, I know that like Eric has talked about this, and he has a tough time finding it in Quebec.
In Quebec, yeah.
And Goodfellow is a distributor in Canada. And
correct.
Has Fortune Brands given you any clout there? Because I imagine it's extremely difficult to go into a distributor and get them to change over brands. Like that's probably a monumental task unless they're really pissed off about something with their current when they're looking, right? For sure. But is that part of the big overall strategy, is expanding those networks a little bit?
Well, because Fortune Brands has, we have so many brands that are a part of Fortune Brands that are dealing with different distributors, different dealers in different markets. And I think really that they've been able to leverage the Fiberon brand with those to try and get into new markets. So I think we've definitely seen an increase in terms of brand awareness, market penetration. Like we're not a new company, right? We've been around since 97. I think the big thing you're talking about with Fortune Brands, like we were always a privately owned company. We were focused on innovation, development, kind of coming out with the newest technology. We were acquired by Fortune Brands a few years ago, and really they've been able to take our business to that next level and really been able to leverage a lot of those relationships that they've had with, Therma-Tru doors and some of the other brands to help us get into different markets.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would only expect that to significantly keep increasing.
And we've been tasked, like I said, to double our business in 3 years. There's only a couple ways you can do that, right? We got to steal market share. We got to take from wood. If we have two good distributors right now in Canada, if the opportunity ever exists or presents itself to add another partner, a strong partner in certain markets where we may not be as strong as SK or Ontario or whatever, then we definitely look at that. Absolutely.
Another question here from Precision Construction. Also, is the PVC covered by warranty using the camo clips?
Yes.
It is.
Every
Full
one
warranty.
of our deck boards. Yep.
So we never talked about camo.
We didn't.
Really.
We should have.
Talk about that.
I'm actually wearing a camo hat today just by sheer coincidence.
Nice.
Why don't you give us?
Do you want me to set that up?
Why don't you give us your feedback on camo?
Yeah, you actually knew more about it than us.
Okay, so there's two
Here
ways to
we
go
go.
about this. The camo edge clip, people freaking love them, and they've been out now for a few years. I remember seeing it down at some Deck Expo or IBS or something like 4 or 5, like early when it wasn't even out yet. They just kind of had it behind a curtain.
Yep.
And they were bringing certain people back there. At that time, I was still building, and I had a good Instagram following. So they were like, come check this out. They showed it to me, and I was like, well, that's gimmicky as all shit. And at that time, I was probably using my Tiger Claw gun and happy with that and whatever else. And I thought it seemed really gimmicky. But I never got to touch it that time. They just were showing me how it worked. And I was like, okay. And they didn't have the camo drive tool. They only had the clip and the little funnel.
The
little
plastic guard.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, look, and this comes in every box. Well, that's the gimmicky part I don't like, though, is that like it seems stupid. Anyways, fast forward, they end up developing this gun or this drill attachment that allows you to stand up and walk around and plunge your screws down. So that changed the game. So then when they finally released these clips, there's everything to like about them. They hold themselves in the joist in place, so you can put on multiple boards and not have to worry about your clips falling out. You don't have to start your clip, then push the board on, then finish your clip. It just holds itself in place. But then the camo drive tool means you're up off your knees. Yep. So what they ended up finding out was when guys started using this, they weren't putting on a row of clips and then the next board and then fasten them. They're putting on the row of clips, next board, 20 more boards, tightening these things all with the spreader bar or some sort of clamp, and then screwing off the whole deck. And it became super, super efficient. So because of all of a sudden this became like a bit of a cult following, people are like, holy crap, like this is way more efficient now. Not only am I not double tightening every screw, I'm not even touching the screws until the end, and then I'm doing all at once from my feet.
Yeah.
And so everybody fell in love with these clips. And then there was two attitudes from decking manufacturers, which was like, this clip is awesome. We agree it's game changing. We should get on board with it. Or we have our own clips. Thanks. We're not going to warranty these other clips.
And one of the other parts that was great about the clip is the part that was doing the holding is metal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Biting down into the board, not
Less
plastic.
The grommet.
Yeah, and it kind of like bites into the board and holds
Correct.
it so the board doesn't slide around.
Correct.
Yeah. There's a stainless steel little gusset in there that actually grabs
Yes.
the board.
Yep.
And you got a pre-inserted screw at a 90, which I think is also
Much
big,
easier to
right?
take out.
If you ever have to replace a
At
board.
a 90 is
Yep.
easy because you can back it out, slide the board out, put the clip back.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like a lot of like really good thinking went into that like a fastener that I think most of us probably thought there really wasn't much room to improve on it, but somehow they found like a bunch of ways to make the clip better. So Fiberon was one of the companies that maybe the only company that has actually co-branded the thing now.
Yes.
Other companies like Decker said, yeah, we'll approve them for warranty, but Fiberon actually said like,
Co-branded.
good enough. We're going to slap our name on this thing.
Yeah, we're the only ones.
And so you guys have kind of moved to like, this is our clip now too. This is good enough that we're just going to like, whatever the agreement is, license it or co-brand it or whatever, and put it out there. And that's approved for use on all of our deck boards now.
Yeah, we loved the camel clip so much that we stopped manufacturing our stainless steel phantom clip
Right.
and went with that as our premium clip offering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's so
Good
smart
choice.
because it's weird to say, but I honestly think that the camel clip had like, it gained so much traction and people loved it so much that some people were willing to move loyalty of their board
Yes.
to use the clip.
Yep.
Like they're like, my board's not going to support this anymore. I'm using these clips. Therefore I'll switch to a board that does support it.
Yep.
Like
And I
I was
think-
part of that decision.
I think that it's, like I think it's good business sense to just find a fastener and then use it with your board. So Fiberon makes boards. We don't make fasteners. We make boards. And you'd come to terms with that around the screws. So Starborn and Fastmaster make the screws and the plugs, and everybody seems to be okay with that. But then when the fasteners come along, it's like, well, no.
Gotta have our own.
We're going to use our own fasteners. And it's
that's a
like,
great point.
well, that's pretty rich. Like you don't do fasteners, you do boards. So do boards and do them well. And then you guys are like, well, we didn't do the fasteners. We did the board. And so anyways,
Great point.
Deck Protect Inc. John Witt in Ontario says his first composite deck he ever did was actually Fiberon.
Nice.
So there you go.
Thank you.
You know what? That's actually true for me too. My first composite deck I ever did was Fiberon.
Nice.
Look at that.
I guess I owe you dinner.
Yeah. I'm going to order dessert tonight.
wings for
Deck-
appetizers.
Denny's has changed.
Denny's has
Yeah. Deck Protect says he remembers the phantom clip and does not miss it.
Oh,
Yeah. Well,
There you go.
yes.
Adapt or die.
What's really key to that, and what you were saying there, Shane, about how it's kind of brought, I think, contractors and builders saying, hey, I love the clip system. It's partnered with Fiberon. I'm going to start selling more Fiberon, or maybe start selling Fiberon.
Yeah.
We've done the same kind of analogy with the tools. Like the last year and a half, we've gone gung-ho trying to get these tools in as many top deck builders and contractors as possible.
like the
Right.
camo drives.
Because it makes
and
sense.
stuff.
Yeah, the lever
the
bar.
drive tool, the lever, it
Yeah.
is phenomenal. I have not gotten one review that wasn't 5+ stars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
It's
one.
really game changing.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So
And
the
like-
only review I
amazing.
have on those tools is that like we have a few contractors where those tools are breaking. That's not a Fiberon issue. That's a camo issue. But some of those drive tools, the way the bit fastens in there,
Yep.
it's like a spring wrapped around a little ball, and that spring falls out, and then the ball bearing falls out, and then the bit doesn't stay in, right? And that seems to be the fail point right now.
Oh, okay.
And
So
I've
they
had
fixed that now, right? They
3 of them come back.
yeah.
Yeah, because they've changed it to a more like a.
Well, no, they
driver
released
style.
another tool. They've got the camo, the clip drive tool now.
Right.
So now you've got your camo drive, which will still. So what we didn't say before is that the camo drive was actually like a triple threat functionality. It could drive your camo clips down with the screws. It could also side fasten, like your traditional
Treated
camo
boards.
marksman tools.
Yep.
It would do the side fastening with those as well, just by changing the bit.
Yep.
And it would also do face screws. So if you want to face screw plywood or face screw a deck or face screw anything, you could do that. So like triple threat. Now they've got the clip drive in addition to the camo drive tool, and all it does is the clips.
Correct.
It doesn't have the triple functionality, but they've kind of like beefed it up, made the mechanics of it work a little bit more like,
Yeah, the handle you
Sturdier.
can slide up and down as well.
I believe
so
it's a little
for
bit
different
taller
heights.
now.
It's adjustable
too.
now. Yep.
Yeah. So just like that was Gen 1 was a camo drive, and it's not going anywhere if you want that triple threat.
Yep.
And then the clip drive is like all that. That's what's great about Camo as a company and Fiberon too, is they actually listen to the feedback and then do something with it.
about it. Yep.
You know what I mean? Like the whole decision for you guys to go to the Camo drive in the first place was not because you were like, we should really just find a different clip to use. It was because people were like, they loved the clip and you're like, hey, maybe we should pay attention to this.
Yeah.
And for Camo, it was like that drive tool was only out for 1 year before they're like, we're hearing some things. Let's make it better. Let's come up with something that people are asking for. And like, bang, it's out.
Yeah.
So pretty good all around.
Kudos.
Find out the source.
The Precision Construction says on steel, if you guys don't, do you guys know him? Do you guys, Scott Kelly from Precision Construction out of Colorado?
Nope.
He's the godfather of steel decking. You want to talk about the steel stuff downstairs? He's the guy. On steel, it's camo or the dinosaur for hidden fasteners. So kind of have to honor the warranty if I use camo. So he doesn't touch wood at all. So
Steel.
his is like, so he only uses the camo because they have the steel clips in the X clip,
extra.
Correct. Yeah.
right? So
Exactly.
he's like uses that all the time. So
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about that earlier in the day as well. I mean, the steel framing system it's starting to make a more of an impact in the market as well. I mean, with the cost of lumber being what it is, to get into a steel framing system and to have, a product that is going to last forever, there's a big market for that.
And offers a warranty.
Yes.
Like
And,
wood has no warranty.
No.
Steel is 25 years.
and unfortunately, with the Phantom, we never had that option with steel screws, right?
Yeah.
And we did get questions. I wouldn't say a ton, but we did get asked, like, do you have an option or what do you do? And unfortunately, I have to say you have to outsource your own screws.
Right.
Now, with camo,
Built in.
built in.
like it's
They
nearly
deal with
impossible
that.
for
Crazy.
any angled screw clip to even have a metal option, right?
Yes.
Like a lot of guys had tire claws,
Yes.
like it's great, but
Yeah.
you're not going to fire at an angle into steel.
No.
It's just not going to happen.
No.
But anyway, was there anything else you guys wanted to add before we send this thing off? Like I'm getting pretty hungry. I don't know about you guys, but
We still
think-
have our universal clip as well. Just
Correct.
Yeah, I
little
was
side
gonna.
note.
I was gonna
our
ask if
plastic
that's
clip.
still.
It's still there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So if someone wants that option, it's available.
I think like even that was a decent clip. I liked
I
it. It
agree,
fit
100%.
snug and it was an inch and a half wide, so it blocked out the joist below. I
90
think those are
degree,
nice.
yep.
Torque's head instead of Robertson, which is an improvement on what was out there at the time.
Yeah.
But keep going, right?
Nothing else. Okay. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
appreciate
For
you
having
guys.
us.
You know, it's been so nice to even have you
Good to
guys
see you
here.
guys.
It's been a couple of years since you've been able to travel and see us,
Yeah.
so appreciate that.
Likewise.
Nice. to
Go
get
have
face
some
to
supper,
face.
boys.
All right.
Check the
See you next week.
Come and
Thanks,
shop.
everybody.
UltimateDeckShop.com. Hit us right away for sponsorships or tell us if you want to collaborate. Let's go. Check us out on any social networks. Thank you for listening.